Really important for this competition. First of all, your electronic devices don't exist in this room and should be turned to quiet, silent mode. Okay, everybody's doing it. Thank you. The other thing is we're going to ask the performances. They have 10 minutes on the stage. If you would like to leave the room, just wait until the end of their performance to exit the room, because the opening and shutting of the doors does make it a little distracting for the people up here. I will try to get people to stop slamming the door in the back. I will do my best, but we would like to give them the respect while they're performing, if we can do that. His Highness is on his way. I'm sure he's running right now. He's very athletic person. So I am going to start this so that all of the people that are watching know who our performers are. Sorry, I got the glasses on. We will be starting with Sir Bran. Colette will be second, Cuthbert. Then Master Jason, Yuri, Faradoc, and then Gareth. I'm giving you their quick short names. They will announce themselves, but I just want to make sure that I get my order correct while we do this performance this time. Until that time, I guess we could have the first person. Sir Bran, do you want to come up and start? There you are. Do you want to wait a few seconds until Science gets here, or I will just get in the middle?
Greetings! My name is Sir Bran du Leon, the King of the Volunteer, the Barony of Aquaterra and Aquaterra, and a few other places which I call home as well. The Bardic arts are a wonderful collection of engaging things. It's not just doing one thing, not just playing a penny whistle, not just singing a song, rather an invitation to explore anything that's performance. And so what we're going to start off with is a type of performance we haven't had today yet, I believe. And it's going to, sorry, my king, I have to break a solemn rule of the night. I'm going to explain to you something you may not realize. Yes, you have to fight to be a knight. Yes, we talk about chess, your reputation, and your courtesy. But the thing we spend hours deliberating over is, can they dance? And so I would like to invite any young fighters who think that they want to get themselves up a notch or two on the list to come up here, because you're going to join me in a maypole dance. I need 11 people. I need a maypole knight. I need a maypole dancers. I need 10 dancers. This is your deal. Come on. I need 10 dancers. I need 6 strings. Now we demonstrate the TV coming down, and then I'll play the music. So take yellow, red. Right there. Got a yellow one over here. Excellent. Now you're up on the stage, and if you fall off the dive, you will not be happy with me. Knight of the Queen.
They all signed that.
They all signed that. Yellow. Red. Yellow. And I
need 2 more.
I need 2 more minutes. This is red. Ready? And one more. I see. Now, please be careful. If you have to, as you dance, just stay well and choke up in the rope. Everybody, I would like everybody with a red ribbon to hold it in your right hand and keep it a little bit taut. Everyone with a yellow ribbon, hold it in your left hand. And notice that your left shoulder is into the pole, and people with the red ribbon keep it taut. Your right shoulder's into the pole. Everyone with the red ribbon, hold it up high. Everybody with the yellow ribbon, hold it on low. And if you walk forward one person, the yellow people will walk underneath the red. So everybody go forward one person, the red over the yellow, and stop. Now the red people hold the ribbon down low. Yellow ribbon, hold your ribbon up high. Everybody walk forward one person. And stop. Now, so keep the ribbon taut. You want to keep it a little bit. Oh, good. Now, this is how the dance goes. You'll see this better. Being careful not to fall off the stage. Do not destroy my reputation with the stage. And that's what you do. You'll go over, under, and that's how you proceed for the dance. And you out there in the audience can yet still participate. You will be clapping. A dance with its own marshal. How enough? And this is a tune that I wrote for this dance, which matches pretty much the some of the like horses brawl, that style of melody. So you'll go proceeding around in that direction. You'll always red. You'll always be going in that direction. Yellow, you'll always go in this direction. And you and the audience get to participate by clapping along with the rhythm. The melody is dun da da da. So ready? Are you ready to go? And if you mess up really bad, just keep on going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Represents our own lives and everything we've braided together in all the years that we spent. And they are strong and they are beautiful as individuals. But look, together, what we form in community, what we form braiding our time together, gives us something much more beautiful, much more intriguing, much more intricate, and much stronger. We are stronger in community, and that is why I love this land so much. A round of applause for all of our kind dancers! And when I do this, like in events and renters and stuff, then we'll turn around and then they all have to unwind it, which is fun because if they made a mistake, they have to undo it. That's another thing. Thank you. I did everything right up front. Another round of applause for dancers. Now we've already a minute. The other half of this, though, is going back to word work and being a wordsmith. As I mentioned before, I do love Shakespeare. I think that it's a marvelous collection of works from a marvelous time, capturing all the people. And I have written songs, I have written speeches, I have written thousands and thousands of them. Example here, you want to see if I make this to you. Both. This is a fine Shakespearean style play. That is, it's a comedy, all original, but along the lines of his work. And what I'm going to do, though, is demonstrate that once you get into the feeling of the iambic pentameter, and are able to translate an emotion, an idea, that the words can actually come out fairly spontaneously, as we all do. We all improvise. Every play ever written originally was improvised at some point. The ideas had to come from nothing into a something. So I'm going to ask for some suggestions, something that you're passionate about, something that touches your heart, an idea, a chance, and I'll give a brief speech, and if I work it well, then you'll think, is he lying? Is he actually copying that someplace? And that's my goal, just for you to think that I'm a liar, that I've actually memorized something from Shakespeare that you just aren't. Well, okay. So, an idea. Yeah. What? On tier. Good. But weaving on tier. Okay, that's it. It's very hot. Cherry cards. The work gets better when I'm given really good suggestions, but okay. But I get a good stand-up. I'm going to take the suggestions that are given. What weaves we each our days from dawning dusk is hope, a food of soul and food of thought. To rise, to feed upon the sweet of each, and then to grow a land, a kingdom of it. Ought well to be of heart and song, of well to be of arms both true and strong, of ought should be a grace and burning sun that blesses all this land where we are among. So we have our land taken every time we leave. We are blessed, for we'll grow again when we next reweave.
Give me 2 seconds and I will let you have it, and then it will be all yours. I did forget one thing, and I am sorry, Your Highness, wherever you went, for not doing this in time. Remember, there is voting for you guys, who you like, and this gentleman here in the yellow cap, you will find him after this is done, and he will hand you a piece of paper for you to put down your top 3 choices. So we had Sir Brand next. Colette. There. Aha, okay.
Hello, I am the Honorable Lady Colette Lafrouvert, more commonly known as Colette the Bard, or Colette, stop. Today I performed a piece that I had written, and now I want to sing a period song for you. It is a very common period song, one that you may have heard before. It appears in G. Schirmer's 24 Italian Songs and Arias, which means that most 12-year-old choir girls get to sing it at some point, which is awesome. And the song in question is called Amarilli mia bella. It is a beautiful song written by Giulio Caccini with lyrics by Alessandro Quarini, and it was first published in 1602 in Caccini's work Le Nuove Musiche, and it has its first dedication from 1601, but it was published in 1602, but was likely written during the 1580s or 90s, which is why I'm in Venetian from the 1580s today, so that I can hopefully transport you back to that time. And fun fact, the reason that Caccini wrote his book in the first place was because, in his words, there are too many people singing my songs the wrong way. They're adding instrumentation where there shouldn't be. They're putting too many trills and runs in them. And I want people to sing my songs the way I intended them, purely. So here, I've written it out for you. You can't mess this up. Now, usually when I perform this song, I perform it to a modern ear, and a modern ear really likes instrumentation. So I used the harmonic implications of the original melody of the song to write a harmony line. But first, before I give you a sampling of that, I want to perform the song as Caccini intended it to be. The translation of this song is beautiful. It's Amarilli, my beautiful beloved. Don't you know that it's you I desire? If you cut my chest open and take out my heart, it would whisper, Amarilli, 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 my beloved. It's a very sweet song. Amarilli, mia bella, non credo del mio cor, dolce desio d'esser tu, amor mio, credilo pur, e se ti morta sale, dubitar non ti vale, aprimi il petto e vedrai scritto in cuore, Amarilli, 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 il mio amore. Vitarlo di valle, apri il petto e vedrai scritto in cuore, Amaria, 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 il mio amore. Amaria, il mio amore. Now, just to give you an idea of how songs can change when you add instrumentation to them, I'll play the first verse of how I do it when I'm singing around the campfires or when I'm singing for my own entertainment. Oh, I love you too much to let that happen. The other way. Ooh. Happened once to sense. I swear it was two before I got up here. That's all right. That's what do they say? You can tune a car, you can tune a fish. Tune a guitar live. I can, but it always makes me a little more nervous. I swear I tuned this right before I got on stage. See, real magic is happening. This is the behind the scenes stuff. All right, that's much less offensive. All right. The second round was if you have any questions. Is that correct? Is this part supposed to be a Q&A? Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna super nerd out because I have a very specific goal. But so when I was looking for music to do that is in an SEA context, I found myself running up against paywall after paywall after paywall. And it was really discouraging, especially some of the earlier things. My one true century is 14th century. But the works of Guillaume de Monchaux, my favorite composer. He is extremely prolific, wrote so many things, and we have 6 full manuscripts of his music, and it's all been preserved. but it's behind college paywalls, behind museum paywalls, and you can't get a hold of it. So my friend took me to her university library where I was able to get my hands on a copy of a modern transcription of the music, but it was only modern to the beginning of the 20th century. So if you have advanced musical theory, you can still read it, but it's not as easy for people who are just beginning in musical theory or who don't read music. So my masterwork that I really want to do to encourage new bards to have a love of ancient and older music is to put it into the easiest notation possible, where like if you had one semester of choir, you could follow along with it and have an accompanying MIDI track for every song. So if you don't read music at all, you could still participate in it, and remove that paywall and give everyone in the society a chance to love and enjoy 14th century music the way I nerd out about it. So that is my very specific and niche thing that I would love to do for the Bardic community, is to bring period music to a more accessible point.
Favorite Guillaume Marchal song, and why is it Dose Dame Jolie?
Okay, I love Dose Dame Jolie. It is a bop, but my favorite is actually, if I am blessed enough to make it to the finals, my partner, my sweetheart, has the most beautiful voice, and we are going to be singing one of my favorite ballades together. It's a beautiful song, and unlike a lot of other 14th century songs that are all about courtly love, like I love her, but she is above my station, or he's wonderful, but I can never be with him. This is a song, it's a love song to love. He's basically saying, love has given me so many things, more gifts than any other person has ever experienced, and I love love, and I am a care-bearer, and I love love too. So that is my favorite mushroom.
I agree.
All right, if there are no more questions, I will leave it over to the next performer, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello again. So I'm Cuthbert Weaver of the Corner Beer, and we've already seen some fantastic Shakespeare performances today, and I'm also going to be reciting a monologue from A Midsummer Night's Dream from one of my favorite characters, and who I think is someone who has the kind of characteristics of what makes a good bard or good jester, and that would be Puck, or Robin Goodfellow from A Midsummer Night's Dream. And when I was a kid, my dad used to recite the ending monologue that Puck has at the very end of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So I remember growing up and hearing that one a lot. So and I thought I would make it impossibly difficult for myself, and I'm going to try and juggle while I'm doing it. So I thought I'd like just make it like a little bit more, a little bit harder. And then what's really fun about this is that Puck spends half the monologue apologizing and begging for forgiveness for all the mistakes that he makes. So I get to inhabit that in real time and apologize as I go through for the inevitable juggling drops, because it is quite hard to do these things at the same time. But you know, it's all about, you know, putting yourself out there and trying to do something new and difficult, right? So these are the last words of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm a high school English teacher, high school English history and stuff too. And for some reason, students hate Midsummer Night's Dream. But hold on, they hate it until it's contextualized with a great performance. So I've taught Midsummer Night's Dream before, and I've taught it where kids are, I mean, they hate it and they just don't want to read it. They don't want to, because, you know, they just don't enjoy it. And one time I took a group of kids to go see it at the Sacramento Theater Company in California, and they were laughing their heads off, which is the way it should be done. It should be funny. And it was also like the rudest performance I've ever seen, which was so wonderful when you have parent chaperones sitting there with you and you're like, oh gosh, what did I do? So anyway, okay, so now the hungry lion roars, and the wolf behowls the moon, whilst the heavy ploughman snores, all with weary tasks foredoomed. Now the wasted brands do glow, whilst the screech owl screeches loud, and the blah 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 in remembrance of a shroud. Now it is the time of night. Now it is the time of night that the graves are gaping wide. Everyone lets forth his sprite down the churchway path to glide. And we fairies that do run, by the triple Hecate's team, from the presence of the sun, following darkness like a dream. Following darkness like a dream. Now a frolic. Thank you. Now a frolic, not a mouse, shall disturb this hallowed house. I am sent with broom before to sweep the dust behind the door. And if we shadows have offended, think with this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And if this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream, gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. But as I am an honest puck, and if we have an earned luck, we will skate the serpent's tongue. We will skate the serpent's tongue, that we make amends ere long. Else the puck a liar call. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends. Slightly more exhausting than I. So, there you go. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything at the end of that. So. I mean, maybe. It's funny because my other favorite Shakespeare piece that I performed before was Friends, Romans, Country by Mark Antony. But it felt really weird to be like, Friends, Romans, Country, I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. It just felt like very. So I knew it had to be like something comedic, something funny. Anyway, so yes, question.
In your heart of hearts is something as new as you are.
Oh, I mean, I'll give everything my best shot. You know, just like this. If I were to ever win something like that, then absolutely, yeah, I'd put my heart and soul into it for sure. Yeah, no doubt. Woo. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, it does. Yeah, it's like so yeah, it is very, you know, and yeah, so yeah, it's a great question. All right, and then I'm gonna. All right, there's so many questions. Yeah. I'm trying to get through one day at a time with them. Yeah. Say it again. Oh, I am barely holding it together as it is, so I don't know. I don't know if I know the original juggling motion, but anyway, I think there's one final one. Oh, it was Shakespeare, yeah, for sure, yeah, long time coming. So anyway, thank you very much.
Gentles all. I am Jason the Silver-Tongued, in case you weren't here earlier, don't know who I am. And I've been in this kingdom a long time. In fact, I've been in this kingdom since it wasn't a kingdom, since it was a principality. So a long time, because it's been a kingdom for 40 years. And early in the days of the kingdom, there was a song written about Aquaterra called The Brave and Bonny Host. I am not doing that song. Instead, I am going to do another song that most of you have probably never heard. It was written by a young lady at that time who had to take a name because the heralds told her she had to take a name, so she did research. Finally got the name Lafonwy Tanguistel. And she did that just to needle the heralds. But she was better known to us as Lindrael, and she wrote a number of songs before she had to move out of the kingdom because she went to pursue, her career, and was active for a little while out of kingdom, but then kind of dropped off the face of the SCA earth. And I asked her if she would mind if I did one of her songs, and she was thrilled that she was remembered. And so I'm doing a song which I think should be up there with The Brave and Bonny Host as an anthem of Aquaterra. It's called The Black Lion Banner. Tis the morning of battle, the conflict draws nigh. Unfurl the banner and raise it on high. Draw in your breath the sound that it makes. Behold the Aquaterra lion awaits. Now the black lion roars and it fills up the sky. We fought to the banner to win or to die. The lines are drawn up, but the foe mustn't yield. Behold the black lion draws nigh to the field. Like a wave on the rocks, like the wind in the pines, the charge of the foeman broke over our lines. But each man held his ground till the foe fell away, and the lion came stalking in search of his prey. Over the battle the banner flew well, brought up by another where one bearer fell. For the black lion round flies over these lands as long as a single Aquaterrian stands. Our freedom and honor we've never retained. Our land like our symbol can never be changed. The strength of the lion in every heart sings, from the least of our children to the best of our kings. Over this world it may be I shall run, to the tiger of east for the 18-belt sun, where I shall end what the Norns only know. But I'll honor the lion wherever I go. Question? Yes. Okay. Well, the simplest way to promote the Bardic arts is by doing the Bardic arts. That's the simple answer. The more complex answer, and it goes partly to why I resurrected this song. There is a huge Bardic community in Ontario, and there has been for years, but we don't hear it. There are a lot of old songs like this that we don't hear anymore, and I think that's a shame. I would like to start promoting even more. I know there are online Bardic circles, but I would promote them more. I would encourage people at those circles to go to events and do Bardic circles at events. It's something I miss, don't see very much. I think just getting out there and performing and getting others to perform is the biggest thing. Other questions? Yes.
Is that available in a songbook of any kind?
It is not, but she said, please do share her songs with others, and I will transcribe it and make sure it gets out.
Maybe a YouTube video.
Yeah. That can be done.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to cheat a little bit here on our earlier conversation because you brought up something really interesting before that somebody once asked you why more Laurels don't compete for a champion. And I was wondering if you could kind of share your answer with everyone here why you're competing today. And thank you for coming, but what was your purpose?
You know, when you get to be a Laurel, there's this little thing called doubt that pervades. And there's a part of me that still says, do I really deserve this? Am I that? So here I am performing. Thank you all.
Your Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, my Excellencies. I am Yuri Vikrad Belagorski from the Barony of Aquaterra, and I am going to present a story for you. Now, if the term Commodore does not give it away enough, my persona is a sailor, and I travel mostly in the Mediterranean. So I have picked up stories, and I use storytelling as a way to pass the time, as a way to entertain my crew, and also to entertain my nobility that I am working my way into becoming part of. So the story I'm going to tell today is Heracles and Atlas, which is a portion of the 11th labor of Heracles. So without further ado, since I don't feel there's any more need for introduction or me wasting your time, I tell you a tale from a long time ago, from an age when the gods walked the earth, when they still made their home on high Olympus, when magic still filled the air and demigods still walked amongst us. And no more famous a demigod was there than Heracles, known for his strength, that he could move mountains, change rivers, capture great beasts, slay things that no other could slay. For while he was known for his strength and his might, that he could lift almost anything, there are few who remember that he was also wise. His mind could be just as strong as his muscles. And so it came that he was handed a labor that was felt, no creature, no, not even the great Heracles could complete. He was sent to find the apples of immortality, forbidden far away in a grove guarded by the Hesperides. Now, there were many adventures he had to go on to begin with to even find the garden. But finally, after many other tales that would be a tale on their own, a story on their own, he finally traveled far, far, far to the west, almost to the place where Helios made his bed at night. And there he found, hidden underneath the mountain, the garden. And there stood the great tree with the golden apples there. Now, Heracles had learned on the way here that he could not actually pluck those apples himself. They were divine in nature, and only a true god could take them. He was only half god. To touch them would be death. And he had thought much on this. Well, as luck turned out, The garden of the Hesperides stood right below the mountain where Atlas was holding up the sky. Now, of course, maybe Heracles couldn't take them, but his great uncle, the Titan, could. So Heracles passed the garden by and climbed high up on the mountain, finally coming up to its summit, where stood great Titan Atlas, the sky pressing down on his shoulders, his eternal burden. And Heracles approached and bowed before and said, Uncle Titan, great Uncle Titan, Atlas, mightiest of my kinfolk, says, I have come before you, for I have a task that I must complete. And Atlas looked down from where he stood and said, Yes, I know you, son of Zeus, child of my brother's son. Why would I do anything for you? And Heracles said, Oh, of course, I recognize your ire toward my family, but I have a proposition. Now, you know the apples, and you know that I cannot touch them. It is my task to retrieve them. Now, if I were to say, take the sky from you for a time, and you could travel down and retrieve the apples for me, I feel this is a fair trade. And Atlas thought for a moment, and realized there was no way he really could fail on this. Now, if Heracles proved the strength he had heard he had, well, the burden of the sky would be without him for a moment. And if the sky happened to crush this little pipsqueak, well, that would be one less little squandered creature from Zeus that he would have to worry about. So he braced himself and said, All right, I'll take your proposal. You take the sky, and I will retrieve the apples. And so Heracles stepped forward, braced himself, and Atlas gently lowered, almost, and then let it drop. And Heracles braced himself and felt the sky come down on him, a weight he had never felt before, as if the entire heavens trying to crush him in the earth. But he braced himself, pushed back up, and it held. And Atlas stood back for a moment, amused that this small half-god could handle this. Oh, and did a mighty stretch and said, All right, I will get your apples. You wait here a moment. And so down the mountain strode Atlas, slowly, marveling. The sky is quite beautiful today. And what was that lovely smell in the air? Oh, look, a stone. How fascinating, how fascinating. Meanwhile, the sky pressed ever downward. Atlas continued to stroll down. He was fine. Down he went, down to the garden, slowly opening the gate, waving at the nymphs as they danced around the tree, giving the dragon laid on a little pet. He arrived at the tree and stood back, for he couldn't just pick any old apple. I mean, it had to be the right one. He measured and checked, even looked at his reflection. He was looking good for this age. And finally, after quite a time, studied the perfect apple. Oh, no, that one has some dirt on it. This one, the perfect apple. So out from the garden, he slowly stood, admiring how lovely it was. And up he went, as Heracles went down and down and down, the weight pressing further and further. Finally, up to the summit came Atlas, apple in hand. He looked at Heracles, nearly almost to the ground. He said, Now, dear Heracles, I had a thought while I was retrieving this. Now, you're there, and I'm here, and you seem to be doing a fine job holding up the sky, and I have the apple. So I propose to you that I will return the apple, and I will complete your labor for you, and you can hold up the sky while I'm gone. Now, of course, once I have delivered the apple, I will return as rapidly as possible. I wouldn't want you to have to bear the sky any longer than you need to. That is an interesting proposal you make. Oh, I can see the wisdom in that. But you know, that's fine, great idea. But I'm feeling a little bit of rubbing on my shoulder over here. If perhaps you would just take the sky for a moment, and I could adjust my lion skin, and then you can be on your way. And Atlas thought for a moment, All right, that seems reasonable. And he stepped below and lifted the sky up. And Heracles, oh, came out from under. Whew, oh, that was close. And then quickly wrapped up the apple in the lion's skin, slung it over his shoulder, and said, you know what? I like your suggestion, but it was my task to complete. I wouldn't want to be seen as someone who cheats to complete his labors. So I'll return the apple, and then I will come back as soon as possible to relieve you of your duty, for I wouldn't want you to be stuck there forever. And down the hill he strode, not giving a second look back. And Atlas cursed him and cursed all his kind from top the hill as Heracles strode into the distance. And thus it was that Heracles bested a Titan, not with his physical body, not with his muscles, but with his mind. Q&A portion. So I've been a Bardic champion before, not at this scale, but I love Bardic. It's the true thing I do for enjoyment. And the way I approached it when I was champion before, I think is the way to approach it in the future, is always be Barding. Every event I go to, do something Bardic. If I'm not in a tournament, I'm teaching. If I'm not teaching, I'm doing some kind of organizing a circle. Somehow, always be doing something Bardic to be out and in front of the populace and demonstrating what I do for them to see that this is something we can do. I love encouraging people. I love talking to them. I love Bardic circles for seeing all the new faces and people I can get. I love teaching because it's a chance to really express what I do and try and get other people interested in what I do. A lot of what I do in the SCA is built on a premise of, I really like this thing. I assume you would like this thing if you've learned about it. So yeah, I tend to both be very open and upfront about what I want and what I do, and also to, like I said, always be Bardic, always trying to find some opportunity to do something Bardic involving the populace and involving their input so they can see what this art is like.
What are the names of 3 bards you think we should know the names of?
Oh, what's the name? We have a younger kid in. Yes. Oh my goodness, he's amazing. Jonathan? John Christoph. Yeah, he's amazing. He showed up recently that I was blown away by his passion, his excitement. He was just like, it was like watching me, but like accelerated. He's like, wow, you're already doing things that took me years to get into. Absolutely, Good Gentle Robin. I am always impressed. Just either at circles or on their own, they have an enthusiasm for this. Been one of the motive forces in our branch to get our Bardic from just a small group to really an engine of artistry.
I think that was a good example.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are you gonna brand always be hard?
I do my best. Yes. I always be Bardic. Always be Bardic.
Your Majesties, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, great people of honor. I am Jonathan Ferrat, and today I would like to present to you a recitation from Beowulf and his battle with Grendel. The translation I've chosen to do, I specifically picked because it is a very strict translation that tries to have as much of the same cadence, and feeling, and tinning of the original. So you can both understand it but also be there. So, to set the tale for you, see the stage where we're coming at. There was once a mighty hall by a lord named Hrothgar. Beautiful hall, great parties were there, but in the marshes there was a monster Grendel. Every time they would get their groove on, Grendel would come in and tear the place apart, killing all the people. And so, after time and time again of this happening, Hrothgar reached out to one of his lords and said, please send me somebody to stop this. And so Hygelac, one of his men, reached out to a cousin of his, Beowulf, from across the sea and asked him to come. So Beowulf came, assessed the situation and said, go ahead, please, hold a party tonight and we will teach Grendel why you don't mess with the Norse. Then came from the moor, under the misty cliffs, Grendel walking, God's wrath he bore. The vile ravager meant for mankind to sample in the high hall. He waded out of the clouds until the wine hall, the gold hall of men, most certainly saw shine. It was not the first time that he loved Hrothgar's himself. He never in the days of his life, and not after, or the locker hall things. He came then to the hall, the fighter's journey, cut off from merriment. The door soon rushed open, firm with fire-forged band, tapped it with his hands. Plotting evil, then he tore open now that he was afraid to step out. Straight after that, on the tessellated floor, the fiend treaded and advanced angrily. From his eyes issued most like a flame at the stop. He saw in the hall many warriors, a sleeping company of kinsmen gathered together, a great host of warriors. His heart laughed. He intended to deprive ere the day came the cruel beast from each one like a bond. Now had befallen him the hope of a full feast. It was not his fate again that he might more to mankind partake after that night. The mighty Mandel, the kinsman of Hygelac, of a cruel killer, by means of a sudden attack wished to proceed. But the monster did not think to delay, but quickly grasped at the first opportunity to escape. Writhed without restraint, bit into the bone locks. From the veins drank blood, swallowed great chunks. Soon he had the unliving one all devoured, feet and hands. Nearer he stepped forward, taking him in his hand, a stout-hearted warrior from the rest, reached towards the foe with his paw. Quickly he grasped another and clamped down in the arm. Once he found the ship and atrocity that he had not met in Middle Earth, in the wide expanse of the world, and another man, great and angry. He and his heart were fearing for life. None the sooner could he away. Eager to go hence was the thought of him. He wanted to flee into the darkness to seek the devil's concourse. His situation was not like he in the days of his life ever had met. The good man then recalled the kinsman of Hygelac his evening speech. Upright he stood and laid hold tight. Fingers burst. The troll was trying to move outward. The earl stepped forward. The infamous one then, anywhere he was still able, further escaped and away, then flee to secret places of fear. He knew his fingers controlling his enemy's grip. That was a bitter journey he, the harm warrior, had taken. The noble hall broke into it in. The Danes all were the citadel dwellers, each the bold earls, in the flood of bitter drink. In rage were both fierce hall wars. The whole resounded. There was a wonder that the wine hall withstood the war fighters. They did not fall to the ground that fair mansion. So firm, inside that, with iron bands skillfully sniffed. There from the floor broke away many neat benches, I heard, adorned with gold. The enemy struggled. It was not thought by the sages of the shieldings that it ever by means any man splendid and bone adorned could tear it down, cleverly cleave asunder. Save fire to grace, swallow it, and burn. Sound descended up new nearby. The north thing stood, a ghastly horror. and each who from the wall weeping heard terrible screaming. God's adversary, a victorless song, bewailing his wound, held prisoner. They held him fast. He who was a men in might strongest on that day in this life. So I've been doing this contest for many years, and the thing I love about it the most is we changed up the contest a little bit to make it very accessible. Make it feel like you can do this. You don't have to be a 3 times Laurel to compete. You don't have to have been doing this for 35 years and have released 150 albums and written at least 6 books to be able to come out. I think I love the fact that the Bardic arts can be accessible to everyone. And so, as a champion, what I would like to promote is to promote that accessibility, to help people. Here are resources you can do. Here are songs. Here are things you can have. Here's small little venues you can do this at. Here's a space for you so that everyone can feel like they can bard, just a tiny bit. And then we can grow the community. You build up that ground level, and that's where your forest comes from.
Slave's translation because it's the cadence of the Greek Latin text. Presumably better than other translations you look at. Can you tell us what those other translations were and what those cadences were? And how those were from?
Yeah, a lot of the translations looking at were very, let's take this and tell the story, which is great. And then, you get the thing across. But looking at the actual Old English, they all turned from poetry into prose. So, like for this piece, the first line of it in the Old English is the come of more under mislithum, grindel gongen, godesiribal. And then the translation was, then came from the moor, under the misty cliffs, grindel walking, God's wrath he bore. And you can see how those really feel a lot the same, which gets that feeling I'm not just telling a story, but we're really there in the period, feeling the feelings they felt.
I appreciate it.
So, my lady Taryn, I am not a theater kid. I didn't do theater growing up. She did, a lot of our friends did. And so one of the first advices she gave me was, don't just stand there and talk. Do something. And so the more I got into it, and I especially like this piece because it's very action. There's a lot happening. So I slowly built into the way of, okay, I'm going to literally act out what's happening. I'm going to make you see Grendel on the ground. I'm going to make you see the mighty Hagelex, or the mighty Beowulf standing. And so that was a lot of it. And so as it happened, it just, those punch points really felt strong. You're striding in. A lot of it was just sort of that instinct of, yeah, that's awesome. Anybody else? Well, thank you.
Well, hello again. So happy to be here once again to play some more lute music for you all. For this entry, I'm playing 2 lute solos of John Dowland. For those of you who weren't here this morning, John Dowland was the premier composer of lute music in Elizabethan England. These two solos are some of the most beautiful pieces that I've encountered. The first one is called A Dream, and when I play it, it makes me think about how John Dowland was trying to capture the essence and feeling of what it feels like to dream. And that essence, that feeling hasn't changed. So when you listen to it now, it's the same sense of dreaming that the people for hundreds and thousands of years have felt. Same sense of wonder and mystery and kind of floating around. And the second piece is called Sir John Smith His Almain, and where the first piece is sleeping, the second piece is, I think of it as waking up to a beautiful spring day, to maybe a trumpet fanfare waking you up. So here we go. Nothing. Go look in the bag. Go look at the man behind the mirror. It's a amplification device. So the lute is a very quiet instrument, and I love being able to play it without any amplification. But some spaces it just disappears into nothing. And so I did a sound check this morning or last night, and we were like, yeah, really need a speaker just so everyone can actually hear what I'm playing. Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah. So this is what it sounds like without the speaker. So just adds a little oomph, a little body to it.
Is there a piece you particularly find challenging that you would like to be working on over the next few years? Like, is there like a lute like way up there, like, oh man, one day I can play that?
Well, 6 months ago, I would have told you Darwin's Fantasy P1A, but I've been working on it tirelessly, and I've gotten to the point where I'm looking forward to playing it for you guys tomorrow if I have the chance.
Oh, I think.
Yes.
Repeat the same question. If you were chosen
Yeah. So to me, the ultimate form of music making is making music together with people. And for those of you who are here this morning, you got to see how amazing it was having all these singers to sing with me while I was playing. And I really want to do more of that. I want to, form different, vocal groups and instrumental groups and drum circles and just get as many people playing together. I've learned all this kind of chord progressions that you can kind of turn into like a Renaissance jam band, like the Romanesca and stuff. And so it'd be so cool to just get like a jam band together where everyone takes turns kind of riffing on this over this chord progression. And so yeah, just playing music with people, bringing music to events. I want music to be filled with, I want events to be filled with all of this music. Yes.
I've always thought that boards should be able to do three basic things. One is to make people dance, two, help them release the pain of the day, and three, relax the words of the day. All the good sounds they can do that particular third. But if you were to lead a dance band, where does the loop fit in? Is something that people want to get up and check. And I perfectly approve of it.
Yeah. So just strumming, you know, I played for the 12th night band, the last 12th night, and you keep the rhythm going, get the nice chord progressions going. You cannot get people to dance with playing melodies on a loop. Yeah. Yes.
How long have you been playing?
3.5 years, almost 4 years. A couple years of guitar before that.
Do you know how other instruments, including vocals, fit best with the lute? Can you share that with people who are trying and learning to show them how to mix together?
You mean for working with other singers or other instrumentalists?
Yes.
Okay, so I would say working with singers, the lute is a wonderful instrument for accompanying voice. A lot of lute voice pieces exist from the Renaissance. In terms of getting people involved in playing the lute, you can get pretty far with a classical guitar. Tune the G down to an F sharp, and you can play all the original lute tablatures. I have a bunch of the tablatures back there if you want to take a look at them. You know, just it's a really good way to get started. That's how I got started playing on a classical guitar, and you can learn pieces that people can sing along with in not too much time. Any other questions?
Do you want people?
Please, I made way too many copies of my documentation. Please. Right. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you all for your patience as allowed to fill it as much bit. I was afraid to get everything off stage. I forgot about this entire section. So please, if people have any questions of what I was doing, etc., I'm happy to entertain these. Yes, please.
Well, you've been doing this for not a short period of time. So is it new and you would like bring this back forward?
I have, you're right, I have been a professional entertainer for decades and for more than 50 years. And I'm an actual union performer with AGVA, American Guild of Variety Artists. I perform professionally at Renaissance fairs. And so as that's been developing, my work with Shakespeare, my work with working with crowds, etc., and especially now that I'm no longer working 7 jobs or 7 days a week, I'm actually being able to go to more society events, which has been remarkably rewarding over the last few years, to bring the broad spectrum, because the Bardic arts are so broad. There's juggling, there's magic, there's singing, there's playing, there's there's almost everything that you do. You do fighting as a Bardic art by doing things together, and just there's every play that's been written in period, all of Shakespeare. So that all that is what I'm doing now, is trying to bring back that broad spectrum. A Renaissance man is what I am striving to be, something where no matter what it is that you have, that's what whatever touch, whatever instrument, that you can do something with it. I've taught classes recently in Glenmuir and Lothanor. I was playing background music up in Thierry last week, and next weekend I'll be down in the Summits and teaching a class on fundraising. But I'll be doing background music in the evenings during the pieces. That, I think, the constant presence is something that personally I love to do and encourage others. I believe in this. Actually, is going to tie right into your question. Yes. what you do is collaborate and create opportunities. And one suggestion I would have for your majesties immediately, or whoever has the grace and good fortune to become your champion, is if court is at 5 p.m., the Bardic champion takes over at 4. And as people are coming in with the seats, they start singing, and they're coordinating with people. What are you going to do? I'm going to bring back the gentleman with the juggling, and and put him on for 5 minutes, and put Colette, please sing your songs, and then and you have an hour of entertainment while people are coming in to sit in the chairs. You have a perfect opportunity. It doesn't delay court. If court is delayed, you just keep on going, and you can entertain the populace as they're sitting there. And it's not just dad jokes. You get dad jokes, but to expand the opportunity to all these other things that people can do and bring them in. The other thing is I believe strongly in using modern media. If you look at, I have a laptop back there with 20 of my YouTube videos on a loop. Colette and I both have CDs, and I'm sure maybe some of the other performers do as well. I also collaborate internationally. I've done music with people in Tanzania, with Taiwan, and in Spain. And because we have the ability to do that, we can do that, and we can do that of course all across the kingdom and inter-kingdom, and build a collection of works that aren't seen as much. And for example, as far as I know, there's never been a production of supposedly Shakespeare's. It's a play that they recently assigned to Elisa as partial, and it's called is it More Than What Was Wanted or something? It's a ridiculous, stupid play. It's really one of the worst ever. But it's never been produced at all, so we could do a reading of it and let that be out there for people. Double falsehood. That's it. It's called double falsehood. And do that. And the other way is simply the champion, as the champion does, travel. Be there. Travel to other kingdoms. I'm an honorary citizen of Abigail. I would love to go back there, and because I was there first in the incipient shire of Montengar. And so I have seen that that principality and then kingdom grow. I would love to go back there. And I've had ties with the Andrei-Belt War, the first inter-kingdom war we ever had, back in what is now Artemisia. And of course, I started playing this game when we were part of the West. And I both travel there, as well as, of course, as following the Majesties, and also independently going to the small rooms. I love Heartwood up in the Sunshine Coast of the Vancouver Island. That's just what I believe I could do. As questions? Any other thoughts? All right. Thank you very much.
Thus ends the second performance of the Bardic Championship. It is your turn to participate. Benson raises his hand, has the ballots for you to write things down on with little golf pencils. You don't even have to find a pencil. He's got them. The other thing I'm going to say, this is an ongoing conversation. Bardic arts needs to have its place in the society. We need to grow this. This is the first time for me that I focused every ounce of my energy at this particular event only on Bardic arts. And it was a fabulous event for me. Everybody has to have their focus. Everybody has their thing that they do in the SCA. We want to make this bigger and better. We need to have ideas. It's changing, changing, changing. If you want to be part of that conversation, I'm your person to talk to, because we have another one next year that we would love to plan way in advance, how we want to make this the most fabulous championship ever, so that the performers grow and grow, and you guys get to experience more and more of what they do throughout the year when you are at SCA events. So please, Juicy Dunstan, it is your stage. In the center. In the center.
You got a camera.
Hello. I want to thank all of the performers today. That was just, it was amazing. Woo! Majesty and I were brought to tears multiple times. So now the Royal Highnesses and us get to deliberate, and we will announce who will be the finalists in support this evening.
With the help of all your votes.
With the help of all of
Please.
the populist votes, so please make sure to make your choices and do the thing. All right, everyone. Break and support, and thanks again for participating, and thanks for sitting and watching. The performance is nothing without an audience. So. Thank you.
Wow.